Hello friends, it's Nova. Welcome back to my channel. Today I want to share with you a very important and unique topic, personality disorders through the lens of tarot. As you know, many people around us struggle with personality disorders. Sometimes it's ourselves, sometimes it's our loved ones, and sometimes it's people we get to deal with in different levels of intensity. Knowing that a very high percentage of people are suffering from personality disorders themselves makes it a very important topic. About 15% of adults have a diagnosable personality disorder. I believe looking at these patterns through tarot can be really enlightening, and it's not something that has been explored much so far. So this is a unique topic, interesting, and quite important. I've chosen one tarot card to represent each personality disorder, and this will help you in various types of readings. Maybe that will be a topic for another video, but today we're focusing on the disorders. I will explain a little bit about each of these personality disorders and the designated tarot card. I've chosen one tarot card to represent each personality disorder, so we will go through them one by one. And don't forget to check out the description box. I've provided some keywords for each personality disorder and the designated tarot card for you. But first, what is a personality disorder? A personality disorder is a mental health condition where people have a lifelong pattern of seeing themselves and reacting to others in ways that cause problems. It is a deeply ingrained pattern of thinking, feeling, and behaving that differs from cultural expectations and causes significant distress or problems in life. These patterns often develop in adolescence or early adulthood and remain stable over time. People with personality disorders often have a hard time understanding emotions and tolerating distress, and they act impulsively. This makes it hard for them to relate to others, causing serious issues and affecting their family life, social activities, work and school performance, and overall quality of life. People with personality disorders struggle in relationships, work, and self-image, often repeating destructive cycles without realizing why. Understanding them through psychology brings clarity, and exploring them through tarot offers symbolic insight into the inner conflicts and unconscious patterns that drive these behaviors. Here's a concise list of the 10 recognized personality disorders grouped into 3 clusters with key traits summarized. And as I mentioned before, the key traits as keywords will be in the description box. Cluster A. These are odd or eccentric traits. There are 3 personality disorders in this cluster. Number 1 is paranoid personality disorder. Paranoid personality disorder is marked by deep mistrust and suspicion of others. People with this condition often believe others are deceiving, exploiting, or intending harm, even without evidence. Relationships are strained because of constant doubt, guardedness, and defensive attitudes. They may isolate themselves, interpreting harmless actions as threats. The keywords are distrust and suspicion of others, assumes malicious intent, hypersensitive to criticism, holds grudges, isolates socially, reluctant to confide in others. For this personality disorder, I've chosen the Moon card. The Moon embodies illusion, fear, and mistrust, key traits of paranoia. Its imagery, as you see here, a lobster emerging from water, howling dog and wolf, and the whole image reflects hypervigilance and distorted perceptions. The card's duality, the light and shadow, the dog and the wolf, the 2 pillars, the water and the earth and the sky. This duality mirrors the disorder's tendency to misinterpret benign actions as threats. The moon's association with the subconscious also aligns with deep-seated suspicion. The second one is Schizoid Personality Disorder. Schizoid personality disorder involves detachment from social relationships, and limited emotional expression. People with this condition prefer solitude, show little interest in close connections, and may appear cold or indifferent. Their world feels safer in isolation, and they often withdraw into inner thought rather than engage with others. The keywords are detached from social relationships, prefers solitude, limited emotional expression, indifferent to praise or criticism, focuses on solitary activities. The card that I've chosen for this one is the Hermit. The hermit's solitary figure on a mountain represents emotional detachment and preference for isolation. His lantern symbolizes introspection but also highlights a lack of social engagement. The card's quiet energy mirrors schizoid traits, indifference to relationships, and a focus on inner worlds over external connections. And the third one and the last one from cluster A is schizotypal personality disorder. Schizotypal personality disorder is characterized by eccentric thinking, unusual beliefs, and odd behaviors. People may believe in magical ideas or sense connections others don't see. Their social interactions are awkward, often hindered by anxiety or paranoia. They live in a world shaped by strange perceptions and unconventional views. The keywords are eccentric behavior, odd beliefs, for example, magical thinking, social anxiety, paranoia, unusual speech and or appearance, and they may have brief psychotic episodes. For schizotypal, I have chosen the hanged man. The hanged man's eccentric posture and unconventional perspective reflect schizotypal oddities, magical thinking, peculiar speech. His suspension between worlds parallels the disorder's blurred reality fantasy boundaries. The card's passive energy also aligns with social anxiety and eccentric behavior. And now we move to cluster B, which is all about dramatic and erratic traits. This cluster contains four personality disorders. The first one is Antisocial Personality Disorder, basically psychopaths and sociopaths. Antisocial personality disorder is defined by disregard for others' rights, impulsivity, and manipulative behaviors. People may lie, exploit, or engage in risky actions without guilt. Relationships are destructive, marked by deceit and lack of empathy. Rules and morality feel optional, leading to repeated conflict with authority and society. The keywords are disregard for others' rights, deceitfulness, impulsivity, lack of remorse, aggression, and irresponsibility. Often violates laws and social norms, which is linked to psychopathy and sociopathy. For this one, I have chosen the devil. The devil symbolizes bondage to primal urges, which marks the impulsivity and lack of empathy. The chains represent manipulation and exploitations of others, while the figure's trapped state reflects antisocial personality disorder's disregard for social rules. The card's shadow side, addiction and power dynamics, echoes criminal tendencies. The second one is borderline personality disorder. Borderline personality disorder involves unstable emotions, fear of abandonment, and intense relationships. People may swing between closeness and anger, struggling with self image and impulsive decisions. Emotions often feel overwhelming, leading to cycles of conflict, despair, and reconciliation. The inner world is filled with contradictions, uncertainty, and painful emotional turmoil. The keywords are emotional instability, fear of abandonment, intense relationships, self harm, impulsivity, substance abuse, chronic emptiness, and identity disturbance. I have chosen Five of Cups. This card depicts grief and emotional volatility, which are core to borderline personality disorder. The spilled cups signify abandonment, fear, while the remaining two cups hint at idealization, devaluation cycles. The figures turned back mirrors dissociation, and the stormy sky reflects mood instability. The third disorder of cluster B is histrionic personality disorder. Histrionic personality disorder is marked by excessive emotionality and attention seeking. People crave being admired, often behaving dramatically or seductively. They exaggerate feelings or dress flamboyantly to gain notice. Relationships can feel shallow because the focus is on external validation rather than deeper emotional connection, leaving them dependent on others' attention. Keywords are excessive emotionality and attention seeking, seductive, dramatic, easily influenced, craves approval, rapidly shifting emotions. And for this one, I have chosen Queen of Wands reversed. This queen, when it's upright, is charismatic, but when reversed, she embodies attention seeking and exaggerated emotions. The reversed card's theatricality aligns with histrionic flamboyance, while the lion, which is her throne, symbolizes a need to be the center of attention. The fourth and the last personality disorder of cluster B is narcissistic personality disorder, the famous NPD. Narcissistic personality disorder is characterized by grandiosity, need for admiration, and lack of empathy. People see themselves as superior, often demanding recognition and validation. Relationships are exploited for personal gain. Beneath confidence lies fragile self esteem. Their drive for power and attention often masks insecurity and vulnerability they can't acknowledge. The keywords are grandiosity, need for admiration, lack of empathy, self entitlement, exploits others, fragile self esteem, reacts angrily to criticism. And for this one, I have chosen the Emperor reversed. The reversed Emperor represents toxic control, entitlement, and grandiosity. His rigid posture, inverted, reflects fragile self esteem masked by arrogance. The card's authoritarian energy mirrors NPD's exploitation of others for validation. And the third cluster, cluster C, which is anxious, fearful traits. And this cluster has three personality disorders. The first one is avoidant personality disorder. Avoidant personality disorder involves deep fear of rejection, criticism, or humiliation. People long for connection but avoid it to prevent pain. Their self image is often negative, leaving them convinced others won't accept them. Loneliness is common, yet they retreat from intimacy, protecting themselves from the possibility of hurt. The keywords are social inhibition, feelings of inadequacy, avoids social activities due to fear of rejection, desires relationships but fears criticism. And for this one, I have chosen Eight of Swords. A figure bound and blindfolded symbolizes self imposed isolation due to fear of rejection. The swords, which are limiting beliefs, reflect avoidance, while the distant castle hints at longing for connection but inability to act. The second disorder of this cluster is dependent personality disorder. Dependent personality disorder is marked by an overwhelming need for care and support. People rely on others for decisions, guidance, and reassurance. They fear being left alone and often cling to relationships, even unhealthy ones. Their self confidence is weak and they prioritize others' needs over their own autonomy. The keywords are excessive need to be cared for, submissive and clingy behavior, difficulty making decisions alone, fears separation, tolerates poor treatment to maintain support. I have chosen Six of Pentacles for this one. This card's unequal giver-receiver dynamic mirrors dependency. The central figure's reliance on others for support, could be financial, could be emotional, and could be both, reflects clinginess and fear of autonomy, and the scales highlight imbalanced relationships. The third personality disorder of the last cluster, which is the last and 10th personality disorder, is obsessive compulsive personality disorder, the OCPD. Obsessive compulsive personality disorder involves perfectionism, rigid control, and fixation on order. Unlike OCD, it's about personality traits, not compulsions. People struggle to be flexible, placing high standards on themselves and others. Rules, structures, and detail dominate their lives, often leaving them anxious and dissatisfied with imperfections or unpredictability. The keywords are preoccupation with order, perfectionism, and control, rigid, stubborn, overly devoted to work. And remember, this is different from OCD. That means there are no intrusive thoughts. And for this one, I have chosen Four of Pentacles. A figure clutching pentacles represents rigidity and perfectionism. This card's hoarding energy aligns with OCPD's need for control, while the walled city symbolizes inflexibility in routines. So this was it. These were the 10 personality disorders and the designated cards. I want to ask you, which card would you choose for these personality disorders? We can add some cards. It doesn't have to be one card, or it could be a combination. Actually, cards become even more revealing when read together. A combination of cards create nuanced reflections of behavior. For example, the moon with Seven of Swords can show paranoid deceit, or the devil with the fool can point to recklessness and antisocial tendencies. Write for me in the comments which cards would you add to the list, or which card combinations do you suggest. And before we end, let's highlight two important keynotes. One is the shadow aspect. Remember that every tarot card carries both light and shadow. And the shadow aspect, with most of the cards, it's the reversed, especially with court cards, can reflect traits of personality disorders. For example, a reversed King of Wands can show arrogance and narcissism. And the other thing is the limitations. Please keep in mind that tarot reflects archetypes, not diagnoses. These interpretations are symbolic tools for self-reflection and coaching. These are not medical labels. They help us understand patterns and choices, but should never replace professional psychological treatment. So that's today's exploration of personality disorders through the lens of tarot. If you find this helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with others who are interested in the deep connections between tarot and psychology. Peace.